This is London with MarketHedge. Going to give you some Bitcoin technicals. Looks like we're hanging on by a thread. The specific weekly MacD is now negative. Tune in. Okay, is now negative on the MacD histogram. Very important. I've been calling out the MacD for the last month plus as I've carried in some significant underlying positions that were up around 300K at one point. You know we've done so well, and I give credit to you guys. The last week alone, we brought a $10,000 account to 188K. Guys, I did, you did, we did. Okay, congratulations to everybody who's been trading. Every signal has been spot on. In terms of the details, it looks like Bitcoin is hanging on by a thread. You guys agree that 112,500? It just looks like we are hanging on by a thread. I want to show you, let's go over, first of all, if we go over the MacD, the daily has been red. You guys know that the daily has been struggling ever since we crossed under the specific 20 moving average on the Bollinger Band. And before I go on in technicals any further, I have to remind myself, what's the best part about the weekend thus far? It was the fact that Luke, my brother, what's up, got back into the VIP for MarketHedge. This is our VIP room where we're going to be sharing all of our charts. We're going to be hanging out as a group. If you guys have been around for a while, you know there's no room like VIP. It's where the action happens. So Luke, my brother, thank you so much for being in the back. You are VIP boss, brother. Way to go. That room is going to be at your disposal, whenever you want to do it in there, guys. We're going to report to Luke. Hey, what's going on? VIP in the house. And take a look at Luke's great family there, a picture from X now, and hope you had a great vacation, Luke, with the fam. Shout out to the whole family for us. We appreciate just all the consistency. Luke is just an awesome trader, really technical guy. He's up in Canada, and congrats. Hope you guys all get a chance to meet him. Now, in terms of the details, we have the specific lower standard deviation trying to hold and did hold earlier on. What else did we run into today? What else we ran into was exactly, and you had to be paying attention, we got a drop with Asia. You guys know that, and the drop with Asia was what? The drop with Asia was just a reconfirmation of what? You had to have Jackie Chan hands. Those Jackie Chan hands were what? Meaning you had to be quick, guys. We hit into the oversold for just literally a very brief period of time. So if you were ready and able, or if you had your orders waiting, it was less than 15 minutes. Let's look down at this. It was less than, guys, 5 minutes. Did we spend time? I don't want to keep going. Less than a minute? Was it less than a minute? It was right at it was less than a minute, guys, that we actually spent on the specific oversold turf. You see this. This is on a lower time frame on the minute, so you had to have, like we say, those Jackie Chan, very quick, right? Hands, Jackie Chan hands, in terms of picking up that 110.924. Now, the question is, what are we going to do with that pickup? If you got it, congratulations. I did not pick up yet. I can talk about kind of where I'd like to go in terms of a pickup. I'd really like to get, ideally, and of course, ideally, understanding I have some additional, this 80K and the 35K, these two accounts here are both long. So I have upside exposure. We've done well. I've done well in some other accounts. And so I'll just say this in terms of the actual value area. I'd really like to see Bitcoin dig down a little bit further onto the RSI on the 4-hourly. Me personally, I'd like to see if we can get it a nice dig into this zone, just a clear indication to the buyers that, hey, it's your turn. It would be nice. And then what will I do? If we can get down there and spend more than like half a minute, I will stack the orders. And those orders are stacked with what? With MarketHedge via API directly into the account for BTCC, where 500 leverage is all the time on Bitcoin. We just love it. Thank you to all our BTCC partners and reps and agents and everything. We really appreciate having the most dynamic, solid interface in terms of MarketHedge and that liquidity in BTCC. It's one of a kind, longest standing exchange. Just the truth. Never hacked. Never hacked. So let's pay attention. And so again, that's what I'd like on that 4-hourly. Is a little bit dig deeper. Can we stay at the 110 for a minute, push around, and then I'd like some exposure really down to some lower levels. I'd like some exposure really from the 110 to the 100 ideally. Now, can we get there? Bitcoin has been an impenetrable force. We agree. No one has been able to really deny it. Even Powell this last week helped it. Yes, he did. Finally, not caving, but I'd say doing a little bit of I hate to say a courtesy. That's right, a courtesy, to Trump in terms of the likelihood of a rate cut incoming. Blended on the job market. Okie doke. Jerome, we appreciate it. Whatever you did, got a nice pop. That was that $100,000 Friday. So that was a beautiful day. That was that $100,000 Friday. If we just look at the 7-day here, yeah, on 7-day we've got the 162, about 162 in terms, 162,000 that is in terms of profits. So looking at this threshold, the 111 is critical to hold. I'd love to get down into this area, full through the 110. Now, the reason why is we're going to be on some support lines on those lower levels. Pay attention. These support lines love to hit. You see this specific level of support hit, boom, 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 boom. Do you see this? Yeah, I like to get down deep. You better believe it. And what did the drop today in Asia prove? What did it prove? Let's go into it. I want you guys to see exactly what was proven today in Asia. If I can rewind this to where we've got the RSI off the chart, let's pay attention to this. Now, anytime that we have let me go ahead and just get these markers off. Anytime that we have a specific, what I call a lead in. A lead in is terminology. You'll read that in Bulkowski, probably the most prolific specific instructor or author about technical analysis, particularly his technical analysis, or it's the encyclopedia, rather, of the technical analysis, encyclopedia of chart patterns, that big orange book. I give it away to some traders. I order it for some people. I recommend everybody get it, Bulkowski, and he's the real deal. He did retire when he was actually 30 years old. So when you're reading Bulkowski, you understand, no, he actually walked the walk. Let's take a look at what happened earlier today, and Bulkowski will discuss this in particular regards, which is why I really brought him up. Bulkowski is going to discuss this a bit as a lead-in. Anytime that we have a support resistance, and it's expanding at all. Here we're slightly expanding. I will call this, and everyone in the back knows, we're going to refer to this as a lead-in, right, where we have any type of an expansion here. We prefer it to be really this top line to be higher. We can talk about that. The reason being, any top line resistance that we can find to expand, you got it. It becomes a target for the bulls. It's just a regular resistance line. As we make our way sideways with any kind of momentum, we look for that. But what happened today was a really nice pick up along the level of support. Do we agree? Now, I normally will tell you or suggest that everyone should try and find the most aggressive line to the downside. Let's actually dig into this a little bit closer on this top level area here, and this is where the money came in. Pay attention. This is where the money came in. This was a money shot. Money on the trade. Now, this is a micro to a macro, meaning we have an embedded pattern framework of this expansion here. We'll call this a bell. Okay, a bell pattern formation, broadening, descending formation, kind of a mouthful, but the lower level support is expanding with the upper level resistance, and that is volatility defined. Okay, it's descending volatility, which is appropriate for the buyers to step in. Where do we like to participate on these? And I'll say this comes with a word of caution. We'd like to participate on this level of support across the bottom, and we'd love to stack orders. Now, you can see how much we poured down through this specific level, and for those of you who are still watching, you know the most important thing anytime, this is the bonus, anytime that we have essentially an outer perimeter, pay attention, that outer perimeter, okay, that is further defining this specific volatility expression and forcing us to consider this as a micro. This is now a micro embedded pattern framework wherein, along a level of support, we must be cognizant of any larger, right? Any larger, and this is so critical if you guys can get this down, and it can pay, it can save your accounts, it can get you the quarter or the year that you want once you master this. Pay attention. If we look at this specific, the details henceforth, or shown to you on the screen, let me lighten this background just a touch. Looking at the details here, you can see that, yeah, sure, we wanted to be long here from this level of support and under, right? We were looking for a recoup, but what came into the picture? The specific larger pattern formation. And where's your lead in that Bulkowski would talk about? Where is it? Well, the lead in here is going to be support hit 1, 2, 3, 4, with 2 and 4 along resistance, 1 and 3 along support. You guys agree the lead in? Yeah. So this is going to be a company that's going to be involved in something called a bump and run, which you guys know. The best part about this is to recall the following. A, we like to be involved along support. B, if you're in, and most importantly, it should shift to the front, should become the most important. If you are in an embedded pattern, you have to, you must. It is not optional. You must absolutely account for, and if you're going to stack, consider the levels underneath that macro pattern. Do we agree? Yes, that hit 1, hit 2, and yes, that hit 3. This was the money line that was hit today, and it was. First of all, this top level did pay quite well, okay, in terms of the specifics for that micro pattern. Why? Because we recovered extremely well, even to this top line micro included level. We recovered. Now, why do I say recovered? Because when you're stacking orders, when you're hedging, right, what pays is the recovery. If you're stacking longs and we decide to stack the entire way down, what are you guaranteeing yourself? Okay, if you have limited exposure, and you have to have limited exposure, but you don't know how far we're going to go down, right? So the recovery, first of all, the stacked orders, it guarantees you own the bottom. If there is what? If there is a recovery, meaning from the point of consideration, let's say a hit along a level of support, we are recovering, right, to that said line. So we did recover to the specific preceding line of support, right? We now have a cross trend line there, support to resistance. And so what is the overall issue? To reinforce A, anytime you're in a micro, make sure pull back to that next most aggressive and macro exterior line for your orders. Deal? I'll tell you, if you don't do it, it'll burn you until you're going to put a sign in front of your computer. You're just going to. I guarantee you. When you master that in terms of what's the bigger dynamic in play, and the question is, do I have the margin exposure? Do I have the margin exposure, right, to carry down, or do I have the backup funds available to participate here? Because this was a nice drop. Let's measure it very quickly. And the reason I'm going over this is because it will happen again and again. This is a $3,300 drop. 2.9% on Bitcoin. The issue is this will happen to you again and again until you master it. You will have a micro pattern within a macro pattern dynamic, and it will fry you. Okay, it will extend your loss if it's not limited to something that's uncomfortable. You'll kick yourself. You'll say, never again, right? Never will I forget. It's a larger level macro consideration that what? It just paid perfectly. Now, what did it pay again? 4-hourly RSI. That's been the Bitcoin go-to. That's what the big guys are on, that 4-hourly RSI. Hopefully, we'll be able to spend a little bit more time there. Now, let's go back into a macro consideration, apply exactly what we just talked about. Let's look at the line that paid here on Friday for 100,000. You got it right. Now, in terms of the expansion, what do we have? We've got another one. We have got another one, right, in terms of an expansion. Now, why do I focus on these again? Because this is volatility. This is the ideal volatility between the buyers on support, sellers on resistance. And what's the best part about this volatility dynamic is that I am looking for recovery to where? Where is the recovery? First of all, let's talk about the value zone anywhere lower along this line. And if we can break it and get underneath it like we did on the micro, hey, if we can get what? We're looking for that recovery trade. And I invite you to back test this on Bitcoin and your asset that you're trading. What's your recovery rate? Meaning once this line is breached, what's your recovery rate? How frequently does price rather, and you can look at the time, how long it takes, but what is the recovery rate? Is it 60% or is it 90%? If you are dealing with a recovery rate of 90%, let that sink in. That means that you have identified a structure and a pattern within an asset that 90% of the time, if we are to hit a certain pattern dynamic, it is, going to recover to that specific level. That is a huge issue. Anytime we can get the specific rebound to a specific level, a throwback, a pullback, and anytime that you can stack orders underneath it, or if you're in a different context over a pattern and you can stack shorts over the top, when you can backtest and you see a 90% probability of your re-achieving a specific level, this is time very well spent, and the issue becomes the following. It's the micro to intermediate micro to macro considerations, which are going to need to dictate what? They're going to need to dictate your margin exposure. Okay, so I'm going to make this video. I'm going to put it out there. It's 15 minutes long. I appreciate you paying attention specifically, and I would not make this video if it did not have huge implications for your profitability over the incoming months, years, and guys, a lot longer than that in terms of, like, I know successful traders who've spent decades in the market. Some of them continue to do very well. I mentioned Bulkowski earlier. He retired when he was 30, in his young 30s. So the guy knows what he's talking about. Make sure you've got that encyclopedia book, and make sure you're paying attention to the volatility schedule here. It just really did nicely on Bitcoin. We'll be talking this week, and take care of yourselves. Luke, it's great to have you in the back again. Appreciate all of the support, hard work, and we'll just read. He's a crypto trader turning market volatility into opportunity, power engineer, and outdoor adventurer. Guys, if you come in the back with VIP, and we're missing some of you guys, come in the back. Let's join Luke. Let's hang out. And Luke, it's just a treasure to have you in the back, brother. We'll talk to everybody soon. This is London with MarketHedge.